Hi, everybody. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the practice problems that go along with the lecture on costs. So the first one just says fill in variable cost, fixed cost, total cost, or marginal cost to complete the sentences below. I'm going to forewarn you that for some of these, you can actually use multiple answers for them. For the number one, it says blank does not depend on the quantity of output produced. It exists even at zero output. And so this one, thinking about it doesn't matter how many you produce, you're always going to have this, should key you in that this is the fixed cost. But it would also be the total cost in that sense, even though really we would probably say it's better to say just the fixed cost, because total cost could depend on the quantity of output if you've started producing certain units. So I'm just going to put FC here for fixed cost. The slope of the total cost curve, number two, is blank. And hopefully you've picked up, I've said it a few times, that the slope of any of the cost curves or any of the curves in these classes is the marginal version of it. So the slope of the total product is the marginal product. The slope of the total cost is the marginal cost. MC. The next one is pretty straightforward. VC plus FC equals total cost. Right? That's just the definition. Blank depends on the quantity of output produced and deals with changing inputs. So this one hopefully drives you in here to say this one is the variable cost. Now, you could argue that maybe it's the marginal cost, because marginal cost does depend on the quantity of output, but marginal cost isn't as much focused on the changing inputs as it is, here's the changing cost associated with a change in units of output. So it's best for this one to just say variable cost, because that's where they come from, is the variable inputs. Number five, the added cost of doing something one more time. That's kind of a general way of saying the additional cost of doing something or added in one unit of output. So this is the marginal cost. The change in total cost generated by producing one more unit of output. That's the formal definition for marginal cost. Number seven says blank equals the change in cost divided by the change in quantity of output. That's the same idea of number six. It's saying, we have this change in cost divided by a change in quantity. So marginal cost again. And the last one, number eight, the blank of producing a given quantity of output is the sum of the fixed cost and the variable cost of producing the quantity of output. So this one is restating in words what number three says. So the total cost of producing a given quantity is the sum of fixed and variable. Number nine says, why does the total cost curve slope upward? Well, we can say because as quantity of output increases, what do we have to do? Well, we have to hire more units of variable input, right? In order to get more units of output, you have to have more variable inputs. And that's that whole idea of production function, turning inputs into outputs. So we would say as you're hiring more variable inputs, you're going to have more variable cost. So because as quantity of output rises, or we could even say because, in order to get that increased quantity of output, we would say, therefore, variable cost increases. And so, therefore, the total cost increases, because variable cost is a component of total cost. Number 10, when a firm is producing zero output, total cost equals, and this one is actually from the practice problems in Module 55, but I think it's a really important concept. It's the same as the fixed cost, right? Number 11, which of the following is true? This one is also from that practice problem set. Marginal cost is the change in total cost generated by an additional unit of output. That's true. We established that up here. Second statement, marginal cost is the change in variable cost generated by additional unit of output. That's also true, because the only reason that total cost is changing is variable cost is changing. Remember, fixed is fixed. So the second statement is basically the same as the first statement. Third says the marginal cost curve must cross the minimum of the ATC. And if you were paying attention in the last lecture, you know that that one's also true. So E. Now, the last problem on here is with a table, and it says, what's the marginal cost of the second unit? So for this one, we're just going to look at the change in cost associated with the going from unit 1 to unit 2. So going from 1 to unit 2, and you could do this in either way. You could see it's going from here to here is 30, or going from here to here is 30. It's the same answer, because 1 and 2 here are the same. So we'd say 30. What's the marginal cost of the fourth unit? Well, it's the same process. Going from 3 to 4, we have 50 or 50. It's the same answer. And then the 14 says, what's the fixed cost? Well, if you know total cost is this and variable cost is this, you subtract the variable from the total and it'll give you the fixed cost. So 240 minus 200 is 40. 40 minus 0 is 40. So we know that the fixed cost has to be 40. What's the average total cost for the fifth unit? So this one, remember, is the total cost divided by the total product. And so we have total product of 5, right? It tells us that's the fifth unit. And then what's the total cost? Well, it's 240. So 240 divided by 5. 5 goes into 200. I'm having a brain fart. 48, I want to say. I hope that's right. One of you will undoubtedly check me on that one, but I think it should be 48. All right. Hopefully this helps you. See you next time.